All right, guys, how you doing today? It's Jim. Something came up here, and I just thought I'd bring it to your attention. Something that most of you video gurus probably know, but something that kind of came as a surprise to me because I'm by no means a video expert. If you look at any of my videos on YouTube, you could probably see that it's probably painfully obvious. In any case, what I noticed was I had encoded a video that was about just about 10 minutes, maybe a little less. And of course, I did it in HD. It was an HD resolution, 1920 by 1080, and about 30 frames per second. But I had a choice of how I was going to actually save it for bitrate. Now, a lot of video editing software will output into, predefined formats. And usually they like to do, like, they'll say there's a YouTube or a Yahoo or a Vimeo, or there'll be some kind of format that they think that service likes. Well, you have to kind of watch that and not assume that that's always the right way to go, especially if you're capturing things like video game footage or anything that's got a lot of motion and a lot of rendering going on. Stuff like just standing there watching your kid crawl around on the ground or something like that. That's a little different, especially if it's a brightly lit area. But if it's anything that's got areas of shadow, texture, that kind of thing, you're going to see a difference between bit rates, and I'll show you in a minute here. But first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you these two files. Now, these are of the same video I made, but one of them was encoded in a higher bit rate than the other. We'll look at the first one here. Look at the properties of this. Now, we'll go into the details. And one of the things we notice here is that it's, under 10 minutes, 1920 by 1080, 29 frames per second, 192K audio and stereo, 48 kilohertz. And that's fine. And it's an MP4 video, as you can see there. What is different here is, you see the data rate? This data rate is 4245 kilobits. Okay, so that's about 5K, about a 5K rate. Now, what you get from a lower bit rate, even with the same resolution, same frames per second, same length video, is you get a little smaller video. And this video is, I think it's about 300 meg in size. Yeah, 307 megabytes in size. Now, this other video was encoded at a higher bit rate when I saved it. So we'll look at its properties. And what you'll see here, and let me get these side by side, is when I look at the details, you see same time span, same resolution, same frames per second. But this video was encoded in a true HD format, a 1080 format, and you see it's 10,211 kilobits per second, basically twice as much. Now the audio has been dropped down a little bit, mostly because it really doesn't need 192K sound for this video, but other than that, you see it's still an MP4, but you see the size, 716 megabytes as opposed to 307 megabytes. Now, if you're not worried about high resolution in your videos and that, then okay, encode in a lower bit rate. It'll make it easier for mobile devices, that kind of thing, I guess. Although once it gets to services like YouTube, they do their own encoding anyway, so they're going to have multiple data rates. Like YouTube goes down as low as 144K, which is just almost unwatchable, but probably looks good on an old PlayStation Portable or something like that. Anyway, what I'm going to show you is there's more than just numbers here to consider, and it's something you may miss when you're looking at the video, but I really noticed it when I was looking at the outputted video. The first one I did was the 5K rate. So what I'll do here is I'm going to try to bring these videos up side by side and kind of show you what's going on here. So let's see. All right, what we have here is I've got two copies of this video. These videos were produced with the same video editing software. It's the same raw footage. It's just they are outputted with different bit rates. The one on the left was outputted with that 5K bit rate I told you about. The one on the right has the 10K bit rate. Now, I've kind of picked some parts of this video, especially in areas that really shows it up. And what you'll see is the distortion on the left side, which is the 5K video. and it really shows up in darker places and when there's a lot of movement. The one on the right is the 10K video, and you'll see you don't see all those distortions. You know, playback speed notwithstanding, it's just a better experience with a little higher bit rate. Now, truth be told, the video on the left is the 5K, that is, was about a 300 megabyte video for 10 minutes of video at 1920 by 1080 with a 30 frames per second average. The one on the right, same specs, 29 frames per second, 1920 by 1080. But if you look at them here, like look at the glass features between the right and the left, and you can already see some of the texturing and some of the blockiness. Now I'm trying to set up here to show you another part of this video where it really shows it up as well. But even here, if you kind of look closely, you can see in the dark spaces between the video on the left and the video on the right, when I get it synced up here, you'll see like a distortion. Now, what's interesting is this is nothing but bitrate. This is the same raw footage, the same video editing software, the same outputs, everything. But I've actually seen people do reviews of, say, like video cards and things like that and say, oh, look how awful this looks. Well, I can literally make a GTX 970's video output look like, you know, a Radeon 2900 just by adjusting the bit rate. So not only is this kind of education for, you know, how important bit rate is when you're recording videos, especially if there's a lot of contrast, game videos, a lot of motion, a lot of dark spaces that could show this blotting or blitting, as I call it. But also maybe take some of those video comparisons with a grain of salt. Because again, this is the exact same video, the exact same hardware, the exact same everything. The only thing changed was the bit rate. You know, well, the other thing was the auto, but that's not even of consequence here. That'll do nothing to the video. They're both 48 kilohertz. One's just 192 and one's 124, I believe. So anyway, you can see here, and you'll see, especially if you look at the buildings, look left and right. Look at the left side, how distorted it looks, and on the right side, it doesn't look at all distorted. See, but when you stop, when there's no motion, it looks fine. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and we'll be talking to you. Don't forget to subscribe.